In third place on the Monster Energy Niche Factory Yamaha, Justin Barcia. In second place, riding for Team Honda HRC, Ken Roczen. And the winner on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, Jason Anderson. Justin, early in that main event, you were right there, just behind Ken, shadowing him a little bit, and then it seemed like you made one big mistake, and then that's what kind of lost it. After that, everything changed. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, I could accept that. Yeah, I was having a good ride. I was just, kind of watching Kenny, what he was doing, and trying to, adapt to the track because it was changing every lap and stuff. But, yeah, just made a little mistake, and, it was a pretty big mistake, actually. But, yeah, just kind of struggled a little bit in the middle and then kind of regrouped at the end and, made a decent charge at the end to get back up in the third.
Ken, I'm sure last weekend you were happy with fourth just to get a race under your belt, but tell me how it felt being out front and just having that clear track and being back where I know you think you belong.
Wasn't that happy with it, but no, it was okay last weekend. But no, this was a really good weekend for us. I think where I have the most fun is just rolling out with the HRC team because they're all excited I'm back. I'm excited I'm back, and obviously with Cole and just having two riders on the track and to be able to deliver to them a podium and just our second race back feels great. I had two good starts in the heat. I had a good start in the heat, rode smart there, and had a good start in the main event too. And we had Justin and I had some good battles. It was clean. It was fun. And I had to really, in the first couple of laps, kind of protect my inside a little bit. And I noticed that I couldn't really separate myself at all. If anything, I felt like they were kind of gaining, but I was kind of scared that, not scared, but I was kind of thinking that if I take the regular line, just because we were so close, somebody was going to come up the inside. But then from lap 2 or 3 or so, I kind of started opening up the turns a little bit, and I could just inch away just a little bit.
Jason, congratulations. Kind of noticed from right away, practice and qualifying, you were really aggressive and kind of had that it factor from the first laps. Is it one of those nights where you just kind of felt it and you knew this was your night, or still going into the main event a little unsure, or was it just the night?
Yeah, tonight was pretty unreal. I honestly had the best night I've ever had, in my career, and but at the same time, it's about time for me to start doing that, be a championship contender and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a good night. That main event, I got off to a good start in both the heat race and the main, as well as these guys did. And I had kind of a scary moment when Justin doubled the triple, but that corner was tough. That triple was tough to hit every lap. And then I had good battles with Ken, but yeah, excited to come out with a win. But at the same time, this is just a step in the process, and excited to do battle the rest of the year with these two.
This is for Ken. Compared to last week, this was a much better start to your main event. You weren't bunched up behind anybody. Can you talk about your attitude and your thought process compared to last week, where you had to battle and be amongst a bunch of guys for the first time in 11 months, to this week where you were out front and clear for a while?
Yeah, excuse me. Last week, you don't know, or for me, I don't know where I'm at until I'm actually racing and I'm around these guys. So it was really just getting familiar with things again, and I felt a lot more comfortable tonight. It's just that one race. I know it's just one race, but just having that one race under our belt last weekend made this weekend a lot more familiar, I should say. This was definitely, when we practice, and especially being in California lately, we don't ever get to ride tracks that are this tacky or ruddy. So this was definitely something new. It's been a while since I've ridden things like that. But my mindset was is still the same. You can't really freak out after just one race. Even after this, it's been 2 races, and couldn't get all crazy and then all of a sudden be super aggressive and then make a mistake again. I think mentally, I'm gonna stay the same throughout the season and just get comfortable and do each and every race without having too big of a mistake.
Question for Justin. During the main event, it seemed like every mistake was followed by 2 or 3 more down the next straightaway after that. Do you find that when you do make a mistake, then the kind of things get a little bit too excited and tough to get back in the rhythm?
Not necessarily. Definitely, my mechanic Sean told me tonight, he's like, you had 100 mistakes at Anaheim, so if you have 50 mistakes today, you'll be a lot better. And I had about 50 mistakes tonight. So, it just all comes with the territory of the race. And for me, I'm just getting more comfortable. I really don't have that much time on the new Yamaha yet. And I'm just getting, more used to the way it does things and, the way it reacts and stuff. And, yeah, of course, I did have a few mistakes. And, I did have a few back-to-back as well, which was, it can be frustrating. But I thought for me, I held my cool and regrouped and made a good charge back. But, the track was super challenging tonight. And, Jason was definitely on another level. And it was awesome to have Ken back, battling with him a little bit. It's been a long time. So it was, it was a fun night all in all. Just, definitely got a few things to work on still, but it's a long season and just taking it race by race and 100 mistakes last week, 50 this week, maybe 25 next week, and be in a good spot.
Thank you.
Jason, you were so fast in practice, but it seemed like you kind of waited in the main event. Did you wait to put in your best laps, or did the race kind of come to you? What was the strategy to really turn it on really in the second half?
The track was tough because I feel like if you stepped out of the main line, like even the main line wasn't that good, but if you kind of went like patient through a lot of it, it was a fast line. So every time I stepped out of the line, I felt like I was, through the whoops, if you went to the right or left, I was getting a little out of shape. And the ones before the finish line, I think I got out of shape every lap. I was just getting side to side. But at the same time, as Kenny was saying, it's important for us to stay calm, but it's hard whenever you see the wind in sight and stuff like that. So I feel like that's something that you just got to learn, and I feel like that's out of my character, to be patient. So it was cool that I kind of executed pretty well, but I gotta just keep that going, and these guys are gonna be fast some nights, but at the same time, gotta still go for it sometimes.
Jason, you've talked a lot about this needs to be your time to be a championship contender and really step up. Was there a certain moment where that hit you, or you made changes, or even just had a different mentality of, this could be the year, and I'm not just a learning guy, but I'm a guy that can really go for this number one plate?
I felt like last year that was my goal, but as you saw the first few rounds, and then I just was blowing it, so. This year I feel like, I think it's just experience. I think that's the biggest thing is over the last 3 years I've really learned and tried to, problem solve and figure out, what I need to do to be able to be a contender. And I think, obviously we got to put ourselves in good positions with starts, and I've never been a guy to do that. And I think that's something I've worked out pretty well. And then just my riding, I gotta keep it up and keep sharp all 20 minutes.
I'll leave it open for whoever wants to answer, but can you talk a little bit about how the dynamics changed? Obviously, Marvin wasn't in the main tonight. Eli's had a bad finish last week and couldn't ride tonight. Talk about championship thoughts out in the distance.
I think things happen. That's why I get sometimes upset with the people that outside of our industry that think that we're robots and we ride on a train rail, because they always talk about mental mistake and mental this and mental that. But tracks change, tracks are tough, and things don't always work out. So I feel like it's never really calculated to 100%. And you can see you make a mistake, but that's just part of racing. We're all pushing out there, and that's just the instinct. Anybody that goes to a competition wants to do good and wants to go fast, and you're always going to go in as fast as you're comfortable. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. It happened to Eli last weekend. It happened to me last year. It happened to Marvin this weekend, and it can happen to anybody really. So it's just part of racing, I think.
With Marv crashing tonight, that's a real bummer. I feel like it's good for the fans to see a fight, you know, and that's what we really want to do. I mean, we all want to win, and we all want to just win super easy, us up here. But I think it's good for the sport to have all those guys there all the time. And what's crazy is it's just like little mistakes. You know, it wasn't the track or anything like that. It was just little mistakes, and it's tough. You know, this sport's tough. And you know, as far as the championship, it's round 2, so it doesn't really matter. You know, I mean, we just gotta keep racing and battling and stay sharp, because those things can happen to us too, and we just got to you know, try and make sure that doesn't happen. But it kind of sucks that both of them had you know, crashes and kind of are back in the points, but at the same time, you know, it's going to be a good battle still.
This question is for Justin. I overheard you talking, saying that you guys were digging down to the concrete. How does that affect your riding, or does it, towards the end of the main?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely hitting a few spots of concrete tonight. It's just with this type of dirt, there's really nothing they can do. Like it, you know, it gets thin and you get down to that. And obviously the track changes, you know, a lot. The lines change, keeps getting tighter and tighter, trying to get away from that. But, you know, like that triple that I couldn't jump, you know, I just missed that inside line and got a little out of that line and, you know, couldn't jump it. And that can, you know, right there could have cost me, you know, a whole race. So it's, you know, when the track changes like that, you just got to kind of adapt to conditions. And obviously you just try to stay away from any concrete that's coming up because it's super slippery.
This is for Justin as well. I think 5 months ago, if somebody told you you would have a factory ride and you'd be second in the championship standings, I think we all would assume like, oh, okay, that's a little far-fetched. But now that you're in that position, how does it feel for you? And then what do you do going forward? Because at this point, there's no way you pull the plug 6 races in.
You would hope not. Yeah, you know, like I said, I'm just taking it race by race. You know, that's what I kind of talked about last weekend. But yeah, my life's definitely taken a turn for the better. You know, personally and you know in racing as well. I've just changed a lot in my life and got a better outlook on everything, and I'm just a lot more happy. And you know, a lot of people like to stick with the bam bam thing, but it's like, you know, obviously I'm an aggressive rider, but it's not necessarily, you know, who I am. And so I kind of just rethought everything, and you know, the Yamaha opportunity is awesome. You know, obviously I've adapted to the bike well, and I think it's just gonna keep getting better because you know, putting more time on it every week, and the team's great. You know, they've put some new people in places there, and it's you know, it's super professional. It's a lot different than the last couple of years what I was dealing with. So it's very awesome.
Questions for Ken. There's more than a few straightaways out there that you guys are just kind of sending it off to flat. Were you mindful of that at all as far as line choice or rhythm choice to minimize impact, or are you full go?
Well, it's kind of crazy actually. When we're sitting on a starting gate there, they're actually doing, or it looks like they're doing quite a bit of track work. But by the time we hit halfway, and especially towards the last laps, it gets pretty brutal. And those especially with dirt like that, you could actually see where we landed. There were tire marks and holes and everything, and it really changed. We normally don't ever have jumps where we just kind of launch out of there, but they really kind of steepen the transitions a little bit, and obviously the dirt being so soft, so it sometimes can get a bit ruddy and especially a couple of holes down there. So you have to really be aware of it. But like Jason said before, it's once you find your line, it's really hard to get out of that. And then, you know, you send it off of something, and the track, like they said, changes every single lap, and you might hit one that is not so good and could cost you big time.
Thank you. This is for all three of you. Next week's the first of the Triple Crown format. I know this is a pretty big change. All three of you have raced Monster Cup before, but to have this be part of your championship, how do you attack that? Is this week shorter sprints, or is it just keep doing what you're doing?
I think it's just gonna, for me, it's gonna be the same. You know, obviously we do the heat races, so we're already ready for the heat races. And yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not gonna switch up too much, but I think it's gonna be, the Triple Crown's gonna be crazy because the starts are crazy enough and the first laps are crazy. So having 3 of them is going to be insane. You know, it's going to be a lot of action for the fans, but for us, I think it's going to be a little bit more stressful because, you know, you have the shorter moto at the beginning where the track's fresh, people can send it. So it's going to be it's going to be entertaining, and it's going to be hard to keep your cool on something like that. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be good for the fans, but for us, it's going to be a little bit stressful. Having 3 starts, full main event type starts with all the top guys. Because heat races you have half and half. So for it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting for sure. It's definitely makes it exciting for everyone in the sport. For the riders, it's definitely going to be a little bit nerve wracking. Three. You gotta. It's one thing to do. Heat race, good start, main event, good start, but then you got to add a couple more of those in. So definitely going to be on. Have to be on your game all night, and just stay focused. And I'm interested to see how the dirt will be this weekend there, because they've had some monster trucks and some rain and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see if it break down a lot more or stay. I'm assuming it'll probably stay a lot more hard packed than last weekend. So we'll see.
I'm with them. I don't know. The motos are just having 3 motos like that. It's just not long enough almost. We train to be super fit, and we're doing 20+1 out here, and then that really separates the riders. And having a full stacked field and then 3 times obviously, or 3 races. And I don't even know what's the first moto. Is it like 8+1 or something like that, and then 12+1? So they're definitely shorter races. So for sure, everybody's going to send it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.